Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. In today's video, I'll be using Paper Rose Studio's Afternoon in the Park collection. There are quite a few products that are part of this collection. I'll be using 4 of them. I have both of the 6x6 paper pads, Afternoon in the Park and Afternoon in the Park Basics. I also have the Afternoon in the Park Embossed die cut and the Afternoon in the Park Bicycles Cardstock stickers. I popped out all the embossed die cuts and trimmed off those teeny tiny white tabs. Now I'm all ready to go. If you're interested in the products I'm using or want to check out the entire Afternoon in the Park collection, I do have links in the description box below. For sentiment, I'm using some of Paper Rose's brand new sentiment sheets. There's black and white card making and also gold and silver card making. And these are great collections since they include a ton of general sentiments, so you can use them throughout the year. I've already gone ahead and cut out several sheets and I put them in a small craft stack tray from Spellbinders. In today's video, I'll be sharing 5 different card designs using the new Afternoon in the Park collection. So let's go ahead and get started with card design number 1. I will be using some card sketches for inspiration. The first sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. It's number 686. And if you are interested in the sketches, including measurements, I share all of that information on my coordinating blog post. The link is in the description box below, or you can simply head over to KristieMarcotte.com. For the background of my card, I selected the pattern paper that looks like either a magazine or newspaper article. Next, I'll add a large panel of this beautiful floral pattern paper. For a little bit of separation between the 2 designs, I'm putting a Love from Lizzie peel off. This is the pinstripe style in, I believe it's the mink color. I'm using the medium width. I'll cut the peel-offs just a little bit wider than this panel, wrap the ends around the back, and I will be layering this piece on some black cardstock. The pattern paper background piece is 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and the black cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. So 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. For the image panel where I'll be adding the heart, I use some tone-on-tone pink stripe paper. And instead of adding the heart on top, I'm using a stitched heart die and cutting out that heart image. So now when I place the stripe paper on top of the floral paper, you can see that beautiful floral design peeking through the cutout heart. Next, I'll put adhesive on the back, layer the background pattern paper on the black cardstock. And of course, I ran out of ATG tape, so I did need to pause the video and refill it. I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. All of my cards in this video are American Standard A2 size, 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. Now the heart die set from Paper Rose isn't exactly the same size as what's indicated on the card sketch, but it still works. I'm leaving a larger gap underneath the heart, and I'll change up where I'll add the sentiment. Before adhering the stripe panel down, I put a scrap piece of cardstock at the very bottom, just where it goes off of the floral paper. Then I'll put glue on the back and adhere this piece on the center of the card. I love how that beautiful floral design shows through the cutout heart. For a sentiment, using one of the cut-aparts, Thinking of You. Since I have that large gap underneath the heart, it looks odd if I place the sentiment at the bottom as indicated on the card sketch. So instead, I'll place it closer to the heart. For a little extra detail, I'm adding one of the floral embossed die cut pieces. Before adhering it down, I'll put a small scrap piece underneath it in the upper left-hand area of the cutout heart. Then I'll put glue on the back and adhere it in place. So there is my finished card, and I made 4 using this design. Two feature the same pattern paper, and for the other two cards, I switched the pattern paper and also the sentiment. Use the Missing You sentiment with the silver foil. You could easily dress up this card design with bling or adding foam dimension, but I always want to have a few cards nice and flat so no extra postage is needed when mailing them. For card design number 2, the sketch is from Sketch Saturday. This is number 776. For the background of my card, using this beautiful pink rose design. For the diagonal strip on the left side, I'm using a light peach grid pattern paper, and this piece is 1 inch, and I left it the full 6 inches. That way I had plenty of space when adding it at a diagonal. I put adhesive on the back, place the grid piece down, and it is longer, so I'll simply flip over my card panel, use a pair of scissors, and trim off the overhang. Now I'll put adhesive on the back, layer my pattern paper piece on some burgundy cardstock, and that cardstock layer is an additional 1/8 of an inch. Put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. If you prefer a wider border, simply cut that background cardstock piece to A2 size. For the banner on the left side of the card, using the blue polka dot pattern paper, and I cut it out using Paper Rose's Banner 1 large die set. The banner die cut was a little bit too tall, so I simply trimmed off the top area. I'll put adhesive on the back using ATG and also barely art glue along that stitched edge, and I'll adhere it on the left side of the card. With die cuts that have the faux stitch detail on the edge, I like to use a little extra adhesive. It helps them lay nice and flat. Using Paper Rose's stitched oval die set, I cut out an oval from vellum. And I'll add one of the embossed die cut images, this beautiful camera with flowers underneath. I did pop up the camera using some 1mm foam. Then I put glue behind just the camera image, not the vellum, and I'll adhere the oval on the polka dot banner. For a sentiment, I'll add Thinking of You, and this is one of the cardstock stickers. I did trim the very right side since it wasn't quite even on the sticker. I'll lift up the vellum oval, add just a tiny drop of barely art glue. That way there's more of the oval actually attached to the card. And this spot will be covered up with the sentiment. The stickers do have adhesive on the back, but I'll add a little bit of glue just to make sure it stays in place. For a final finishing touch, I'm adding some mini circle peel-offs in the upper left-hand corner. I'm using the rose gold mirror color. It matches beautifully with the rose pattern paper. So there is my finished card, and I made 4 using this design. 2 have the same rose pattern paper, and the other 2 cards feature suitcases with flowers on top, so pretty. And the sentiments for all 4 of the cards are the cardstock stickers. Now moving on to card design number 3. The card sketch is from Cards TV. It's sketch number 53. This is one of my favorite sketches. Features 2 pattern papers for the background, the large oval where you can add an image, and then sentiment and bling. Super simple design. For the larger panel on the background, features this beautiful plaid paper. And for the strip on the right side, this is actually the back side of the plaid paper. It's a tone-on-tone purple design. I cut the separate strip of the purple, but you could cut that background piece 2.5 inches for the plaid and 1.5 inches for the purple, since it is the front and back of the same paper. For a little bit of separation and shine between the 2 pattern papers, I'm adding a Love from Lizzie peel-off. This is the pinstripe style in silver. Since I will be covering up sort of that center area, I was able to use some of the small scrap pieces. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on some purple cardstock. And that cardstock layer is 4 1/8 of an inch by 5 3/8 of an inch. I'll put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. Next, I'll add a large stitch circle die cut. Put glue on the back and adhere it on the left side of the card. And the featured image is this lovely windowsill, one of the embossed die cuts, and I did pop it up using some 1mm foam. For a sentiment, I'm adding thinking of you. I'll cut the right side at an angle just for some extra interest. Part of the sentiment will be sitting on the circle die cut. To keep it at the same level, I'm adding a scrap piece of cardstock on the back side, but I did cut out an area and that's where it'll be laying on the circle die cut. I'll put ATG tape on the back of the sentiment, adhere the scrap piece of cardstock, and I'll put Barely Art glue on the back and add the sentiment underneath this beautiful window. And before that glue dries completely, I'll make sure to get the sentiment on nice and straight. For embellishments, I'm using more Love from Lizzie peel-offs. This is the mini circle style in silver. For the first 3 circles, I'll follow the design of the card sketch. Other than the one circle, I'm tucking it underneath the sentiment instead of on top. I'll add 2 more circles in the lower left-hand corner. So there is my finished card, and again, I made 4 using this design. The first 2 cards feature the same pattern paper, and the last 2 cards feature different pattern paper. The larger pattern paper is this beautiful floral with some birds and the tone-on-tone pink stripe. Use different embossed die cuts and a missing you sentiment. For card design number 4, the sketch is from Freshly Made Sketches. This is number 628. For the background of my card, using the pattern paper that has the alphabet, it looks like typewriter keys. For the smaller rectangle piece, I'm using this light peach grid pattern paper piece. I'll first layer it on black cardstock. Then I'll put adhesive on the back and adhere it on the alphabet panel, putting it slightly closer toward the top. Now I'll layer the background piece on black cardstock, and that piece is an additional 1/8 of an inch. Put more adhesive on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. The measurements on the card sketch don't indicate the size of the background, but I almost always cut my background panel 4 inches by 5 1/4 inches, and then I'll either add an additional 1/8 of an inch or an additional 1/4 of an inch for the background cardstock layer. Next, I'll add a stitch circle die cut. The very left side will go off of the grid paper. I could put some cardstock layers underneath, but I use some fairly thick white cardstock, so I'm really not worried about it. This beautiful camera and floral image is one of the cardstock stickers, and it's a nice heavyweight cardstock. Paper Rose very recently introduced their cardstock stickers, and I love the quality of them. They have a matte finish versus the embossed die cuts that have that glossy finish. I love both, but it's nice to have the different options. For a sentiment, I'm adding hello, and this is one of the sentiment cut-aparts. The very right side will go off of the grid paper, so I put just a sliver of foam dimension behind it. It's a 1mm foam. And I'll also add a small scrap cardstock piece, putting it more in the center. And having the foam and the cardstock layers will help that sentiment stay at the same level. So there is my finished card, and again, I made 4 using this design. 2 feature the beautiful camera image, and for the other 2 cards, I use different pattern paper, cardstock stickers, and sentiment cut-aparts. Now moving on to card design number 5. For the background of my card, selected the pattern paper that looks like a pile of postage stamps. Lots of beautiful images. On the front, I'm adding a large cardstock panel. It's a soft peach sort of pink color. It's 4 inches by 3 5/8 of an inch. And I know I did cover up most of that beautiful background pattern paper, but you can still see it at the top and bottom. For a little bit of separation and shine, I'll put a Love from Lizzie peel off along the edge of the cardstock layer. This is the pinstripe style in brown with gold overlay, so it's super shiny. I use the widest width. I'll wrap the ends around the back, layer this piece on some dark brown cardstock. Then I'll put ATG tape on the back and add my card front onto a card base, leaving 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. With this final card design, I ended up using 4 different pattern papers for the background. At this point, I only had 1 pattern paper with duplicates, but that design didn't really work with the images I'll be adding on this set of cards. I really like the look of the beautiful bicycle images, so this final set of cards features all 4 of the bicycles. 3 of them are cardstock stickers and 1 is an embossed die cut. For this card, I selected one of the cardstock stickers. I think this is the largest bicycle sticker. I'll remove it from the backing, add it on my cardstock panel. The colors are so pretty and they match beautifully with the postage stamp pattern paper. For a sentiment, I'll use more of the cardstock stickers, this time selecting 3 different words and stacking them in the upper left-hand corner of the cardstock panel. A couple of the words had a tiny bit of this pink polka dot paper, so I did use a pair of scissors and trimmed that little sliver off. The 3 words I'm adding are amazing, smile, XOXO. And I'm putting the words at different angles and layering them on top of each other. For a final finishing touch, using a small scrap piece of the brown cardstock, I'll cut a banner. First cut a fishtail on the bottom, then I'll cut the right side in slightly at an angle, flip it over and do the same thing on the other side. I'll put barely art glue on the back and adhere it in the upper right-hand corner. So there is my finished card and the other 3 cards featuring a beautiful bicycle. For the cardstock panels, I did cut them different heights, just depended on how tall the bicycle image was. And for one of the cards, instead of that cardstock panel, I did use more pattern paper. For 2 of the cards, I used the cardstock sentiment words, and the other 2, I used a sentiment cut apart. Now here's another look at the 20 cards I made using Paper Rose Studios' Afternoon in the Park collection. I use both of the 6x6 paper packs, the embossed die cut, and also one of the cardstock sticker packs. There are lots of other items that coordinate with this collection. If you are interested in any of the products I used in this video, or you want to check out the rest of the Afternoon in the Park collection, I do have links in the description box below. Paper Rose is located in Australia and they do ship their products internationally, but you can also purchase them here in the US, and I have links for both locations listed below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.